What's going on, everybody? Mike, Real Dad, back with you again today, and today is a very special day because it's something that does not happen very often with this channel. In fact, it's only happened twice in the past. One of those was technically an Instagram deal, but I loved it so much I made a video on it, and the other one, of course, was Sunday with the product review. You clicked on the thumbnail so you know what this is about. We're talking about a hose reel. We're gonna get to that in just a second, but if you are new to the channel, you need to understand that I do my reviews a little bit differently. If a product sucks and doesn't work well, I tell you, I'm not just fluffing stuff to get free stuff. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into this hose reel. So starting out, I was contacted by Giraffe Tools to see if I would be interested in reviewing their stainless steel heavy duty hose reel. 2 days later, the package arrived. I did the install setup, have played around with it for a little bit, and here we are today. So this hose reel is constructed entirely out of stainless steel. All the fittings for the hose are solid brass. The only plastic bits are the handle end that spins around. That's like a Delrin or a fiber reinforced plastic, and then the actual guide that controls the hose going back and forth that locks in place and moves automatically. So it should be pretty good, especially for the price that this hose reel commands. As of today, right now, while I am filming this, the price on Amazon for this is $199.99. $200 for a hose reel. Holy crap, that is expensive. Okay, as it sits out of the box right now, I'm going to be floor mounting it, but it is in its wall mount state. So if it was on the wall, you see the hose guide comes out just fine. And in the instructions say to loosen these on both sides, and then this can rotate. And we need to get this to rotate into a position to where this is about in this area. So let's figure this out real quick. And we should be lined up now. Yep, right there. Okay, we are in business with that. It's spinning, and we have this here to guide the hose. And it looks like there's some screws that will go in up top here. Okay, so what else do we have in the box? Well, we have this piece here. This actually will go on up top here, screw in, and that'll lock in the hose guide. Also came with 4 concrete anchors for that. And then the handle itself, we need to put that on. Looks like it just screws in. Have to find the parts. Looks like a resin handle here that spins, and then this is actually aluminum, which I was very surprised with that. So the only plastic components are this resin bit here, the hose guide, and there is a belt right in here, and that connects to the actual hose reel itself to spin. And as for the leader hose, or whatever you want to call it, and rubber, flexible, so we'll see how it goes. And then it is all brass connections inside here and there. Okay, so we're going to route the hose through the guide here, and then down into here. A little tricky to get in there, but I think that's mainly the hose because it's been coiled up for a long while. Okay, snug by hand for now. But what we're going to do to help with it lining up is we have this here. Holes are pre-threaded. Enough in there just to get it started. And we do the same on the other one, having to squeeze it together just a bit and just make sure there's no kinks. There's a good enough bend in there. There we go. And now this isn't the best hose in the world. This is like a cheap Flexzilla or whatever knockoff that I bought from either Home Depot or Lowe's. Okay, now I just need to tighten up there and there with some pliers, and we can test this out for leaks. Okay, one change I had to do after mounting this is I had it originally kind of going up and then over, but as you can see, I now have it going down, back and around, then up, and then over in there, and that made it so it doesn't kink. Some water, I've been testing it already. You can see no leaks down here. There's no leaks coming through the connector. And again, no leaks from here. So, solid connection. I did have to use some pliers, or use some vice grips because I couldn't find my pliers to tighten everything up. One thing is the little clamp that helps guide everything. I put it on first. Don't do that. Wait until the end, because as I was tightening this guy, this cheap Flexzilla clone hose kept winding up and kinking, so I had to take it all apart, put it back together. It wasn't too bad, but yeah, just save some trouble. Don't put that on first. Get the hose tight, check for leaks. Once everything's leak free, then you can put that on. Okay, with everything installed, I do need to let you all know I did run into a little bit of difficulty installing it, and it is actually nothing to do with what was provided to me by Giraffe Tools. It was all my fault. One is I misdrilled some of the holes when I marked them. I was too lazy to find a Sharpie, so I just used the drill to mark, and I guess it shifted. So I only have 3 of the 4 bolts holding it in. And those 3 bolts are actually not what came with the kit. The concrete anchors that come with this hose reel are 5/8. You need a 5/8 concrete masonry bit to drill the holes. The largest I had, and I bought the kit before the hose reel arrived, was a 1/2 inch. So I used that and I ran the drill around. I'm sorry I didn't film any of that. We're in kind of a heat spell right now, to where the heat index was around 106 when I was doing it, and you don't want to listen to me wheezing. So I did that, and then to get them in, I just beat the living snot out of them. I did back the nut off enough, beating them down into the concrete to where I couldn't then spin the nuts to tighten everything down. So I picked up some new 1/2 inch concrete anchors and got it installed very, very easily. So that is one thing. Make sure you have the right size drill bit before going into it. For a wall mount application, make sure that it is mounted into solid wood. If you have a house like mine with vinyl siding on 16-inch centers, the spacing between the bolts is only around 13 inches, so you're not going to be able to hit that. So make sure you have proper backing material behind that when installing, because if you do not, the weight, while this is not terribly heavy, it's maybe around 12 or 13 pounds, when you add the hose onto it and any residual water, that will then, of course, have the potential for tearing out if it's not properly mounted. Speaking of hose, what kind of hose does this bad boy support? Well, you saw during the install, I have a cheap Flexzilla knockoff clone from Home Depot. It's a actually terrible hose. I bought it because it was cheap. This hose reel supports up to 130 feet of 5/8 hose or 200 feet of 1/2 inch hose. It does not support 3/4 inch hose. So if you're a girthy guy and you have a 3/4 inch hose, just be forewarned, this hose reel will not be compatible with your hose. My favorite thing about this hose reel is actually the guide. A lot of hose reels have a guide that you can manually move back and forth, so while you're cranking it, you move it back and forth so the hose is properly wound up. This one actually has that cam lever on the top that locks in with the belt mechanism that connects the reel to the hose guide. So while you're cranking it up, it's also spinning the guide and moving it back and forth automatically for you, so you are able to reel this hose in extremely fast. It's buttery smooth reeling it up. It's honestly the smoothest hose reel I have ever used in my life. That is my absolute favorite bit about this hose reel. Okay, I've unwound all 125, 150 feet, however many feet this crappy Flexzilla clone hose is. We are now going to take a look at seeing the hose guide retractable bit in action. While I leave this in this nasty state, we're going to roll it all up and see how it does. Okay, here we go. Gonna try to only use one hand. Let's go. Busting those kinks out as they're running through. Look at that. Bam, 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 bam. Not bad. Super easy. So we've talked about the construction, the stamped stainless steel, the brass fittings. We also talked about how awesome the hose is reeling it back in. But what are some cons? Because this would not be a Real Low Dad review if I did not include some cons with this product. Well, first one is when you're installing it, because it is stamped stainless steel, wear some gloves, or if you don't want to wear gloves, make sure you're reaching in the right spot. If you pick it up by the end, you do have the chance of being nicked. As you can see by these photos, my knuckles did get a couple little boo-boos, had a little blood, some battle stains on the hose reel itself. So wear gloves when you're going to actually install this. I haven't had any issues since actually using it. It was just some of the angles on me manipulating the reel to get it into place. I nicked myself. So be aware of that. Another con is the mounting bracket. While it works fantastic the way I installed it on a concrete pad, mounting it on a wall, you need to make sure, like I mentioned before, that you're mounting it into solid wood. Some people may not have the ability to do that. A way to improve it to where it could be easily mounted on a 4x4 or a 6x6 or 4x6 post, that would just eliminate that con. So if you're wanting to post mount it, you'll probably have to have another backer plate, maybe 2 posts with a 2x6 or 2x10, something to get that solidly secured. So not having a post mount option, that is a con. It worked fine for me because I was able to mount it onto a concrete pad. But if you don't have that available and you can't wall mount it, you'll have to get creative with your installation. How the hose actually routed around. If you noticed when I was installing the hose, I had to redo it. Part of it was because my hose sucks, but then getting everything routed properly so the hose didn't kink. Maybe if there was like an angled bit similar to an Eli hose reel to help guide the hose initially, that would probably help some. But again, it's nothing deal breaking. You just have to learn how to properly route your hose to where it needs to go. So that's it. Those are the only cons I have on this hose reel. Everything else has been absolutely spectacular. I'm very impressed with it. So with that, I want to thank Giraffe Tools for sending me this hose reel to review. I am very happy with it. So thank you very much. The big question though is, if it was not given to me for review, would I buy it? And yes, absolutely I would. This is a quality product. I've put it through its paces. It reels up nicely. It installs fairly easily. All my installation problems were of my own doing due to heat exhaustion from insane temperatures, not having the right size drill bit. So as long as you have the proper tools to install everything, you're good to go. So if you have any more questions about this hose reel that I did not cover in today's video, feel free to drop a comment below and ask those questions down there. I will do my best to reply to them and answer those questions for you to help make you more informed on any potential purchases you may make. And so with that, it's Mike, Real Low Dad, another review. I liked it this time, so I have so far 2 likes, 1 not like. So anyway, thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please like the video if you found this useful. Subscribe if you have not already. And we will see you again very, very soon. Have a good one.